The webcam and the screen. Not for now. Yes, because I think it's too charging, and I'm bigger. I mean, the resolution might be too high for online streaming. So it's.
Yeah, I haven't had chance to practice. So
yeah. Okay. And at first I thought we could use it for recording the whole event, but it's still charging, and we might to find a longer cable because this one's a bit short. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's not for like. It's for chilling. Why is this?
You know, it's a bit easier to use a webcam rather than this. The webcam from your laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a plug-in webcam?
Oh, you mean a plug-in one? An external webcam?
Yeah. Because it's not very nice to have a stream of your face when you're not looking at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to look at all you, it's not fun for anyone to watch. It's better to put it to the side so it's looking at me.
So maybe in this case, because at first I thought that you're gonna put everything on his laptop,
I can still do that.
and I'll turn this laptop to show the whole space. So it's not gonna be your face, but everyone, but
okay.
the whole.
I totally do it. I'm just thinking that how.
Yeah, because it's gonna look a bit silly, like with the. It's like a game, like online game streaming.
Yeah, it's not so nice.
And we are not stars.
It's not so interesting for anybody. So maybe it's hard to think how it's going to happen.
I think we're gonna have it like this.
Where is the camera?
The camera's here.
Right, so you can see me? No.
It's like a few seconds. There's a lag between this video and the reality.
Yeah, now I'm there in it.
Yes.
Okay. So what I can do is this. So I have the. How are we going to do it?
So for now, this screen, all we need to do is put your content on mine.
So I just ask you to move this through the slides?
Yes.
But then I'm not in the picture. It doesn't work that way. unless I have an extendable. The external webcam is always a solution, but until all right, I keep going on to my.
Ah, I know what it is. I can give you a mouse. A wireless.
Oh yeah, that could work.
Hey.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hi, Carl. How are you doing?
Yeah. Wow. Doing
I'm doing some things, eh?
That's good.
Yeah, what I have here is lots of stuff, it seems. No shortage of that. Do you want to just I post this to you on Facebook and then I post it also on the web, okay? Just while we're waiting. There's only enough for making 5. You can start if you want. Yeah, you know, I was making things today, so I thought maybe I should do this for you. Oh, I hate this height. It's horrible because I have no legs.
Well, maybe you can, just edit there and.
Okay.
Okay.
But now, yeah, that's good.
It's not worked out. I don't know what to do in the event description. How does it come?
Oh, okay.
Because automatically link out of some of them and not the others.
Okay, I can just open up everything.
Yes, do it in order. Oh, I missed one. Never mind.
Oh no, it's getting surprised. Super laggy.
People like
For this one, I'll be doing. No more festival for pixel.
What?
No, I just thought that they cross off festival.
Yeah, someone else mentioned that. I don't know. I have my understanding what that might mean. Because my understanding is that we have been playing around with doing things. I mean, we had one year, 2012, when we had just garbage written. Instead of festival development artists, I thought we just had garbage, like garbage symbols. So we didn't even have festival written anywhere. And I don't know why it's called a festival, but I don't know. I am going to do something to it, in addition, but I'm not the director or anything, or curator.
Yeah. It's some other's headache.
Eh?
It's some other aesthetic now.
Yeah, exactly. I have done my share.
So, you know now what to do. You use that mouse and you do everything by yourself. And
The mouse doesn't work yet.
yes, it's working here. You, this screen is on the right side.
Ah.
Yeah, there you are.
All right.
Or do you want me to put this screen above this screen? I can also do that.
I don't matter.
Okay.
I just have to get used to it.
What is he putting on?
No, I'm charging it. I thought it was charged, and then I realized it wasn't. And, I haven't used it yet, so I brought it along thinking we could use it. But I need practice. And I haven't put it in practice. Just, yeah, it's not charged either, so it's not that. Power. Maybe you could let people know that we were running late. Post something to say that
It's okay. People are quite used to this place.
yeah, here certainly. Does anyone else?
Yeah.
You know, last time
It's okay for me. I have no problem with that.
嗯，
等下直播的部分会录吗？
全部都会。
全部都会。
要么
啊，OK。那说那个暂停吗？嗯哼。
然后
OK，就叫什么 OBS。
YouTube
Yeah.
already?
Yeah, it is. It's open in
Should we put something else up rather than this one while we're waiting?
maybe that picture.
Yeah, put up the other picture. It's better than this. Yeah, it's quite good, eh?
Yeah.
But this,
Or actually, you could
no, I can be smaller. It's not important. It's fun finding the way it is. I'm almost ready, you know? I'm almost ready. Just checking what things I have. I still have to move some pictures around. Oh! Hello! Greetings. You too. I'm happy you guys come. Showing me guys a chance to meet again. Yeah, we're on Facebook too. Oh, we're on Facebook now too, yes. That's right. Well, it's mostly pictures tonight. Yeah.
Sure.我没有，应该还是，我刚喝下来还是。
好吧，比你的肠胃的多一点。
How long before you like me to start? Because I'm almost ready. Because if you want to wait a little bit longer, then we can do something when I finish my slides. Okay, well, give me another 30 minutes. Because, yeah, I can always introduce Sergey and I don't know how much I need to introduce myself. But you know, how much space do you have on your disk?
Quite a lot.
Okay, because it's half of everybody's photos.
Wow.
How is that possible?
Because the people or something?
Huh?
It's the guy from the or something? No.
It's photograph. I don't understand why. Maybe it could be that there's a lot of photos just with a higher resolution.
Yeah.
Hello there. Nice to see you again. Yeah, fuck too. Thank you. You know, I got this scarf where I got night before. So I bought it in a shop in Amsterdam. Yeah. But you know what's funny? It reminds me of last year. But I'm a little bit cold.
That's always my goal.
Ouch. All right, mister. Ashwin?
Yes.
This.
Sorry.
And then you can close this one because this is all done. The one that says BioArts. Yeah. I think so. Let's practice. So let's see, there is one picture of me. Let's take this one. It goes to there, look at that. Alright. There you go, that looks a bit like me. Let me get this computer out of the way so I'm not distracted. And you do it just from the stick, right?
Yeah. For now,
It's fine. So, and can you do me a favor? Can you make this a little bit bigger, just so I can, just so that the text is a little bit bigger. Just larger icons. That's a little bit better. How about this? Beautiful. I'm not that old, but you know, it makes life a bit better. And you will switch the screens when it's necessary, right? But I don't need to see myself. I just need to know if I'm in the camera view. Maybe you can check this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm here, fine.
yeah.
Okay. So then I think what we'll do is I give a few words introduction, and then we will go to the we will go first to the web pages. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So if we are
Greet to our audience now. Hi. Where am I?
where are you? You have to bend over.
Yeah. But it's lagging here, so
Yeah.
I need to know. OK，嗨，大家好，就是今天是82的过年前的最后一次活动。那我们今天邀请到Andrew Gryf Paterson，他是来自Scotland 吧，他是来自苏格兰。那但他现在是在芬兰还有拉脱维亚居住的一位艺术家跟那个活动的筹办人。那他长期以来筹办的是THAV，在芬兰相当知名的一个跨文化，就是跨文化的一个工作的一个地点。那今天他会讲他最近做过的作品，还有他对于芬兰、拉脱维亚还有立陶宛这一些地区，就巴波罗的海地区以及北欧这边的一些关于说艺术和科技还有科学怎么发生关系的一些理解。那我现在就把It's your turn.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for hosting me here. It's such a pleasure to be here in the BioArt Lab in Taipei, Taiwan. And just to give a very brief introduction to myself and what I hope to share with you in this event and broadcast is that I have a artist background, but also organizer background, cultural producer, educator, and independent researcher. And I have been involved with what has been known as media arts or participatory arts or social engaged arts for many years, 15 years or so. And I have been involved in the time I've lived in Helsinki since 2004 with Pixelic, as already mentioned. This festival, when I first got to know it, was a festival of electronic art and subculture. But since 2011, it's been known as a transdisciplinary platform for experimental art, design, research, and activism, which really covers a lot of subjects. I'm also a member of the Finnish BioArt Society, so this is one quite clear connection to the lab here in Taipei. And what I'm going to share with you today in this presentation is the work that I've been doing in the last 4 months or so, especially since I have been in a residence in Latvia, making collaboration also with friends in Lithuania, and I'm going to also show some of the things that I've done here while I've been in Taipei. So I'm actually going to introduce several different organizations and contexts, so I hope that you can follow. Also, I should say that I have been a guest here in Taipei thanks to several friends, but I have been a guest in particular of Dimension+, digital crafts agency or studio, and actually I have been here about a month now, with a couple of weeks break in between to pleasure for me to New Zealand. But so I have been here long enough, and this is actually me in my last week here in Taipei, so it's also a little bit of a summary of some of the things I've done here. So in this presentation, there's not a lot of theory at all. It's mostly pictures. I will tell stories about things. I'll try to speak for about an hour. It's not going to be difficult with all the pictures, but I will show things for about an hour. I have at least, I have one video I want to show at the beginning, which introduces a recent event in the countryside of Latvia, in a small town called Aizpute, because since the start of September, I have been a resident in a place called an organization called the Interdisciplinary Artist Group SERDE, and they have a residency center of the same name. And this residency center is mostly active it's actually generally active from May till October. And I was a resident since September, sort of ongoing at the moment. And when I go back to Helsinki in a week's time, I'll spend a week in Helsinki, then a week in Riga. I will also visit Vilnius for a few days in Lithuania, and then I will go to Aizpute, and I will spend a bit of much of the spring working on my doctoral thesis. So the places where I show you in this presentation is also the places where I will go back to. Okay, so we start first in this presentation in the small town of Aizpute in western Latvia. It's an area called Kurland. And the friends of mine who I've had the pleasure to know since 2003, Signe Putsina and Uldis Putsins, they are a couple, and they run an association with one or two other people in the town, and other friends, national collaborators in Riga in particular, but also international friends like myself who work together. And so when I have had the pleasure to be in residence at SERDE before, and when they asked me to join them in September to be a resident for a month or a bit longer, they asked me to get involved in one event. And the event was a sort of gathering of artists, curators, cultural producers, and students. And the event was called Cultural Heritage as Resource. So what does that mean? And actually, that was the event of the gathering, right? How can the particular context of the SERDE, an Interdisciplinary Artists Association, who've got well known in Latvia, but also internationally, for the work with cultural heritage. both the physical, tangible cultural heritage, because they have leased from the municipality for a very long time an old building, an 18th century building, and they have renovated it physically. But they have also done a lot of ethnographic work and skills-based work, like how do you do things, how do you make things. And they have specialized in making alcohol, spirits and beer, but also doing oral testimonies, folkloric studies, and together, myself and Serde, in 2010 we made together a project called Herbologies, about the knowledge of wild plants, how you might pick and gather. So when I joined them in September, they had this event called Cultural Heritage Research. Cultural Heritage as Resource. And this event introduced the work of artists they had been hosting as a residency center, and also showed to us the context of where they were inspired.
Are we already?
What we have here is actually a prezi, which has been made by Sikko Putsina, which gives an overview of Serde. I'm not really going to go into this because it's actually a bit too long, but it's worth to look at yourself. It's much better just to look at the links and go through it yourself. But what it does is it introduces Serde, their different activities, their work which is physical, which is let's see if I can, if I start this, and so I mentioned that they do this tangible cultural heritage work. It's because they have an old building which they've been renovating. It started in 2002. Sorry? Oh yeah, otherwise you can't see it. Alright. So they have a backyard like this, and they've been renovating for a long time, over 10 years, this building. These are workshop spaces, but you would see, let's see, here inside of the main hallway, they've been doing workshops with people in this type of space. Originally restoration workshops, as you can see here. If we, like this restoration has been like inviting people to learn the traditional way of restoring old wooden buildings. And so it's, in the process they have been learning how to do both interior and exterior work, as you can see here. This is Latvia. It's a western Latvian countryside. And this is what it looks like at the moment. So you can see this is the backyard courtyard. This is the residency center and terrace, and the upper rooms are largely residence rooms. There's a big hallway, and then this side here, this is workshop spaces like metal workshop, wood workshop, old photography, black and white photography studio. They have here a beer making workshop. They have hidden around the corner a ceramics workshop. So they have quite a lot of material science and art practice workshops.
Is that the temporary one or
Permanent. Permanent.
and it's run by
No, it's an association. Yeah, it's run by 3-4 people. That's all. Yeah.
And how often they include the
They have open calls for residencies, and they have project work and things like that. Yeah. They have open call at the moment, if you're curious. So they do artist residencies, and that's a large amount of their activity from May to October, or so May to September. They stop in October, and it's a very nice place to be in the summer. It's a little bit cold sometimes at the start and end of the summer, but other than that, it's nice. So the other side of the work they've been doing is more the studies of traditional culture. There's this wild plant knowledge that I mentioned, which I have shared the work with them, but also local weavers, for example, the weaving of fabrics and textiles. And they have also done expeditions. So if we click here, they have been gathering local knowledge and traditional knowledge from most of the older generation, ways to do things, and they have done field work in different towns and villages in mostly Western Latvia, but in other parts too. The other thing that's quite special is they've done this ethnographic type work, and they've done it to a standard which is good for publishing. So they try to work with heritage professionals, and that means that the knowledge that they are gathering can also be given to national archives. And what they have done in particular is to always publish the research they have done in book form, so that they can give them to people. They can give back to the people who they've interviewed some book, but they can also distribute them among, of course, peer networks. But they also can go into tourism office. They can also go into a bookshop. So it's they're not making a large print series, maybe 1,000 at the most. Depends. It's mostly project funding, so it depends on how it goes. So no, they don't have any on the web, unfortunately. This is something to work on still. How to make both electronic and physical. That's something that international friends can encourage this, right? But there is a sort of ISO, this web platform ISO, which is for PDFs that you can flick through like magazine. So they do have a few of them like that. But still, it's work to be done. But the type of things they've been gathering, vodka making, beer brewing.
What is the pig funeral?
Pig funeral, that's a good one to ask. Traditionally in the farm areas, people have been raising their own pigs, and then invite. Not everyone is skilled to know how to slaughter a pig and how to cut it up the certain appropriate way. So often there has been someone who comes to different houses and helps to kill the pig. And there's different ceremonies and ways to do this. In the EU now it's illegal to do this, so because all animals should be slaughtered in abattoirs, not in homes. So this is a sort of dying skill and knowledge.
I didn't hear you. Why they
Because the regulations for slaughtering animals in the EU has changed, so it means before, because not everybody knows how to kill a pig, and how to get the right parts, and what to do with the bits you don't want to keep, and things like this. And also it's ceremonial. Maybe the person who has raised the pig doesn't want to do it. But anyway, there are special ways to do things. So there's not everybody remembers or knows how to do this anymore. Yeah, exactly. So they have gone to southeast Latvia, so the opposite side of Latvia, it's an area called Latgale, and recorded how this has been done. Now, many of the subjects that they have comes from intuition, like what's a good thing to do now, and what is the subject that we should study next. It comes a lot from artist intuition, because the couple who run this one is a ceramics artist, one who studied folklore, cultural production, and they're collaborating with maybe ethnographers or folkloric studies people or artists like myself to encourage what to study next. Several of the publications here, for example, the Surti stories or the Bashkirian Sigolden stories, these are examples of more like oral testimony or ethnographic style documentations. The foraging and the folk pharmacy are somehow connected, because this was folk pharmacy, like people's pharmacy. What plants you grow in your house as medicine, and this was complementing the foraging, where the plants are growing in the wild and you go to pick them. Some of the latest ones that they have made, most recently Latvian and English translation of the stories of the closed zone. This is the coastal part of Latvia, because during Soviet periods, no Latvians could go to the beach. They could not access the seaside because this was a military border. So this was some stories about this. And then one of the most latest ones is about urban gardening and allotments, and also the growing of plants, growing of plants and vegetables and things like this for food. Because one artist, you will see from the video clip, has been researching and studying how people grow things in their gardens and allotments. So just to give you a quick look, they are making publications like this, very colorful ones with nice photographs, a standard format. So the standard format is the exercise book format, like the notebook style. Very similar to the type of book you might get from when you're in school as an exercise book. And you can see that they're including some of the ethnographic or folkloric fabrics or images or styles. So they're always, even though they have the same format, they're always trying to use a similar style and take something from the subject into the cover. They have done work with UNESCO in Latvia, with students, for example, and they have also done their own projects as smaller artist groups. And when we worked together with this project, the foraging one, then we actually brought an international group of artists, designers, herbalists together from the region, so from Finland, Sweden, Lithuania, Belgium, Poland, to bring together people to do this sort of very local fieldwork studies, but from international perspectives and different skills. This is an example of project funding to do this type of research. Okay, so I'm going to escape from this, and that gives you an overview of CERDE. You can look at this in your own time, maybe through the link. But what I'm going to show you now is this is not the good link. Hang on. What I'm going to show you now, is a video documentation that was made just recently, just finished recently and published recently, which shows this cultural heritage as resource event. It's a 10-minute clip. I hope you don't mind. It's very nice. It's good late summer visuals. So those of you who are in winter, it's like a blast from the green past. And it took place in the context of a bigger EU-funded project called Frontiers in Retreat. So artists working together with residency centers in rural locations on the subject of art and ecology. And partners are Finland, Scotland, Latvia, obviously Lithuania, Catalonia, Serbia. So there's partners from around Europe, on the fringes of Europe. So I'm going to open this up. I hope those of you who are not here but watching online, you can do this in your own time. But we're going to watch this for 10 minutes. And then I'll show you what I've been doing in the same time afterwards. The documentation was made by Eva Ozzy. This is in a local garden. Oh, it's lagged a little bit, so I'm just going to pause it and see if it helps.
Actually, it's means it should be buffered.
Something is not working with it. Is it because it's run? It's a lot of RAM is taken up by the USB stick.
Probably is.
Okay. I mean this beginning here is anyway just a garden party, food party in an allotment. We helped the lady with her picking and harvesting her vegetables, and they made for a smoked chicken. We were visiting a juicing factory. Small scale industrial juice factory. You can see someone who's growing hemp and him drying it and making tea from it.
Hemp tea.
Yeah. Huh? No, but hemp was used for many different things in the past before it became complicated. Here he's showing how he's hand rolling the leaves. We just had a 3-day event, which was called Cultural Heritage Resource. It was an incubator event within the framework of the Continuous Mission program led by. We have a buffering problem again.
Yes, apparently his mouse is not syncing.
Yeah, I don't know why this is happening.
Maybe because we have live stream. I just think.
Could be that, yeah. That could be it. So here we go. This is the point where I'm speaking on the camera, and I'm sitting here with Signe Putsina, actually the co-director of CERDE. And what we're doing is we're explaining about the event that we have just had, which was called Cultural Heritage as Resource. It was an incubator event in the framework of the Continuous Mission program led by basically international artist program, and gathered together artists who've been working together with CERDE
Sorry?
in the last 2 years. And what I think was really good about these 2 days was that there were some theoretical introductions, there were artist project presentations. In the case of the restaurant, the show also very inspiration. It's out of sync again in that presentation or lecture, but
Is the video running faster than
they're inspired,
the audio?
and also to pass on some of the inspiration value from that. I think what I'll do is I'll cut in and out of it, and then of course you can watch it in your own time later. So what we're paused at here at the moment, which you can see at least here in this room, and now you can see online, is the moment when there was a ceremony where the building that has been renovating since 2002 is accredited with national protected status. Right, so it became a monument basically, a cultural heritage monument. So this is quite unusual, right? That an artist group take an old building and turn it into something which is protected because it's an important example of cultural heritage. It's not happening very often. They're in very good favor at the moment because their work is also seen internationally as important, and they have been accredited by UNESCO as an NGO, as an advisor NGO. A lot of water pouring down. And so that means in the Baltic states they're the only representative of the Baltic states to UNESCO as an NGO. That's pretty special too, you know, as an artist group. Because they're not a museum. They're not a big institution. They are artist couple plus friends, you know. Yeah, because of all the work they've done over the years. But let's see if I can jump back into this.
Evening part is very practical, even for exploration in Ironia to center for reader and also to become Ironia berry as Ironia is one of many show and many artifacts in art. But
So what the event did was it had this small symposium. we introduced the work of three artists who've been working with Sergei over several years. So the artists presented their work, and then we took the people to the place where they were inspired by. So in the case of the French artists inspired by allotment gardens, we had these inner events in allotment gardens. For another one, Martico, who's involved with the Ronian plantation, which has been working with plantation since 2011. We bring everyone to the plantation to see his social inspiration. So a little bit out of sync again. But this is as if every one of us picking a one of herbs. He's explaining his work here, and then this is just exactly what he's saying. Also this way. So trying to show the context to the artist's work as well as the artist speaking about their work. This kid Gavin is another artist who's been working in Australia, a Latvian artist this time. He's been exploring it's more like a bio-art, something like this one. Like how might you develop a bacteria, gut bacteria, for your stomach that can break down cellulose, so that you can maybe start to eat different types of foods, like pepper or like wood, etc. Right? So
I hope the paper still I can put some spicy.
yeah. So it's a speculative project. Like, how can you develop bacteria which will help you break down cellulose? Another artist they've been working with is a dance artist from Catalonia, who you see now in this video. And I'm make it full. She has a practice where she's dancing in nature, and in particular with trees, as you see. Very public event day. She made a performance in one of the trees. So walk or nice time for the walk. One of the things I think is special about Serve is the attitude they have, that they're very, like nothing is impossible in this small town, you know? They're very skilled practically, you know, so at least Ujus, the husband of the couple, he's very good practically. Do you want to make something like this? I'm going to try to connect more. Out of sync again. Maybe I explained this because it was a bit lost with the out of sync. So every year now, for the last 3 or 4 years, they have been having an event called Apple. It translates as Appling In English, it was originally called apple think, but now in Latvian it's aplošana, which is more like appling, turning the noun of an apple into a verb. So the process of working with apples, let's say. And it started because in this town there's a lot of apple trees and not many people are picking them. Because the apples are not perfect for eating directly. They're good for ciders and other things, like for fermentation and things. But they're not all sweet ones. So they can be good quickly. So, but there's more apples than you know what to do with. So some years ago with Rikse, it was 2012 it started. They made an event together, it's an art science event around apples. And it's continued in Serde each year. But they've also invited locals who are makers or producers of crafts or foods to come and also use that day to show off what they make. So to be a bit like an art and craft market as well. So it mixes together apples with other things. Let's see what. Apples did come on oh. I got involved. You'll see some pictures of it. They're shooting a rolling bird targets. This is the crazy scientist act. In the background here, you can see the homemade distilling equipment. Make spirits. This is one of the things that made Serde famous in Latvia and also internationally. Because one of the first ethnographic researches they made was to go and learn how were people making their moonshine, their spirits at home. At the time, also when it was not legal. Since then, 2008, it became legal, so people can make their own spirits at home. They cannot sell it, but they can make it. But anyway, what Serde were doing at first was gaining the trust of people to tell about how they make it. Maybe they were sharing their designs and making a version of the design, and then presenting it in public in cultural festivals. And they won an innovation prize in cultural heritage for this 2007. So I think that's almost finished. Meeting room. So this video gives you some idea of what it's like in Serde and Aizpute, this small town, 3,500 people, at this busy time. Let's see if I can get out of this. Skipped. Okay. Now I want to go to the folders. So where can I go to the folders? Oh yeah, I'm looking at the wrong screen here.
Yes.
I go
Move to left.
here. Right, and let's see. So I have been going to Aizpute since 2003, and I have known Serde since then. And I have been going backwards and forwards every so often, every year or not, almost every year. And I have been going at the time, like most people, when it is the summertime. And when it is busy and active. And this time that I have been there at the end of the season. You saw me, I was involved with this event, I was moderating this event and helping for it to go smoothly. But then I stayed longer and I started to wonder, what am I going to do there? And this theme of cultural heritage as a resource was something that I carried on. And I started to think, okay, for the harvest time, what is coming? What are people doing? And as you'll see, I learned other things. So what I'm going to do is to go through these photos, and I have to find a way to do that down here, and tell you a little bit about it. Do you recognize what is in the picture here?
Chestnuts?
They're in English. They're called horse chestnuts.
Horse chestnuts.
I think they're common in many places in the world. These ones are not edible. There's a version which you can eat, but these ones are not edible. How can you tell the difference? They are a different shape. The ones which are edible have a different, are more spiky and furry. These ones have almost no spikes. They are green and they are spiky, but not lots of spikes. And the chestnuts which you can eat do not grow so far in the north. They are more commonly grown a bit further south. This one actually has some chemicals in it which is good for smokers, and also fish killer. Like there is a traditional use of some chemical in this, some active agent, enzyme or something, which has been used by indigenous people to kill fish. Sorry? Yeah, there is, but I can't remember its name. Yeah, I can't remember his name. So yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Some toxic thing in it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, this nut has a different meaning. It reminds me of a childhood game. So in Britain and Ireland, there's a game called Conkers. So it's a children's game where you put them on string and you do something like this, and then you hold them up on the string, and another person has to knock it and try to crack by flipping the string with the nut on the end to try to crack your one. So I decided to make this as a sort of childhood memory for myself, and to give them to a few kids, like the one you've already seen in the video, the daughter actually of Signa Nugis. So I did this, I foraged this and did this. And then I started to get involved in other types of activities and starting to think about things in other ways. So what you can see here was one afternoon visit. I went to the home of Signa Nugis and their daughter, and we gathered all the logs for the winter. We put the logs into the storage for winter, and we stacked them into the pile like this, you can see. This is a cultural tradition, how to do this. Right? The fact it needs to be done, because in their house it's a wood-burning stove, they have to do this, but there are certain good ways to do it. You know? And you need people to help you put it together. It becomes communal work. This is cultural traditions also. You know, not only the style and practice of stacking wood, but the need to help each other to do it. Okay, you see here some picture of me again in the barrel. This is me crushing the berries in the barrel, aronia berries, all the ones that we picked actually, and more. And you can see the result from my feet. It was sort of fun. I'm not. You saw a little bit from the video that I was sort of moving and dancing. When I was doing this, there was music playing, and I was dancing to disco. But I won't bore you with the GIF that does this, that shows it. In the same time, I was learning about some Latvian power symbols. This one is an interesting one. It's for creativity and sort of vitality or energy, maybe for the same reason that the ginseng juice or spirits is used, right? It's a symbol for this representation. And I had just a coincidence that I bought this exercise book. It had the symbol in the back. I had no idea what it meant, and later I learned, oh, it's about power and creativity and energy or vitality. There was also this notebook which I got in Lithuania earlier in the summer. So these two things are connected actually. This symbol, which is actually for a Latvian deity, like a god, Latvian god, is represented and connected also to the white horse, or horses in general. So there's just pictures like this for connections. Now, I'll show you a few pictures from inside the room that I had in Serde. So the building itself is old, as I said. It's 18th century, and it's decorated also in old styles. Yeah, so this is old wallpaper, old electrical wiring. You can see it's alternating current. And this is also my, let's say, not shrine, but collection of things. The shelf of objects. Some picture of wood stacks that you can find in town. And I show you also some pictures from around town, because it's one of the oldest towns in Latvia, and it's quite attractive as a nature landscape. And what you see here is another bit of collective work. But some local friends, they are meeting once a year just to hang out together, because many of the friends, they live in Riga or other cities, but one or two of them come from this hometown of Aizpute, and they use the excuse of having to juice apples to get their friends together. There is a word in Latvian called talka, in Finnish it's talkot, and it means this sort of voluntary labor or voluntary cooperation. When you work together to do something together, you need to get some work done. In this case, it's a bit the reverse. You want to get your friends together, so you invent some work. Right? In this case, inventing the work means juicing apples. So there's a few pictures of that. There's all the apples that they collected to juice. And they're in bags. And then the sort of friends getting together to juice up. And of course the results of this process. Yeah, this is just pulped apple juice. And you can see the juicer they have. They're using to pulp it here, and then they're using another machine to squeeze the liquid out of the apples. I don't think I have a photograph of it, unfortunately. The one that they were using was a nice style. It was a rubber bladder. So the rubber bladder was filling with water and pushing all the mush of apples to the edge and coming down as juice out the edge of the grill. But I don't have a picture here, sorry. Anyway, some more pictures from inside of the room that I was staying in. The old stove, the floorboards, the bed, my materials table. For those of you who have seen my materials table in Dimension+, you start to notice a pattern here of stuff lying around. One of the views. Some bread. So actually in this town I also got interested in bread, because there was someone in town who was making this bread, like fermented rye bread. It's a sort of dark sourdough, and he was making it and arranging to give or sell, I suppose. And so there's a picture of the bread. This is 1 kilo of bread. Okay, the work table, electricity lighting, again the town. So you get some views of this type of place. It has some good second-hand shops, like one of these ones. Maybe you want to see that again. Now, in this town, there's an eco winery run by Martin Sant and his father Varis, and it's a small eco winery that has a cellar. Actually, in the video, you didn't see it, but it was one of the activities we did during this gathering of people. We went to visit the eco winery, and it's quite a popular tourist thing in town. I needed to get some ink, some fermented ink. And what he suggested is, well, I have some in my fermented aronia barrels. So what you can see is some pictures of his barrels and some of the ink that I gathered. This is in his garden, and they are using aronia and apples as the base for their wines and their spirits. And this is me starting. This is the aronia juice, fermented aronia juice that is gone with some lacto fermentation. What happens when it goes into the warm air? It starts to bubble and all this type of thing. Eh? No, this is the color of it anyway. It's the aronia berry is purple. Chocolate. Really?
Look at the lighting.
Yeah, it's maybe the lighting. It's a purple color. Yeah.
Red.
Ah. Well, yes. So the reason I wanted this is for the next project I'm going to tell you about. But this one, what I was looking for was some liquid which had active bacteria in it, like this probiotic, had some color, and I could use it as an ink. And this is for another project which I did later in Vilnius with another friend called the Bacterial Love Letters. And you'll find out about this quite soon. I was using it also to draw. Cześć is hello in Polish. And the name of the project, Bacterial Love Letters. So I was making a font also out of this juice. In this kitchen in an apartment there, I also made sauerkraut or fermented cabbage with the hands. And so you see some pictures. And this one needs to be turned around. Let's see. Nope. There we go. This is the compressing the vegetables under the surface of the water, so that it can ferment in the sort of anaerobic fermentation under the surface. This is my technique, to use two different tubs, and one with water to weight. Okay, this was a later technique, using a bit of fabric instead of a plate. This is me making kimchi on the kitchen table. And so here you are, a couple of fermentations. After it got too cold to live in this residency house, because in October it's getting too cold to be there, and I was having to use wood all the time, I moved to an apartment. And I will go back to this apartment and I will use it as a researcher apartment. And this is where later when we talk about kitchen lab comes in. Because for me this is the kitchen lab. Yeah? This is the one that I'm going to work with. Okay, we have some leftovers. Actually, I had already a guest in the researcher's residence, just for one night. So you will see Linda Strout later. But she came because she was working with linen and like flax. The flax plant, linen plant, makes, of course, fabric. And it's very strong fabric. It's as strong as hemp, arguably. And so she came with her different samples to show me, because she had been using eco dyes and using beetroot and turmeric and mushrooms to make different colors of the fabric, and also with urine too. And here's a bit of more research. When I learned about the bread maker, Varis, who is the father of the guy who runs the Eco Winery, the one who has this aronia berry juice fermenting in his garden, he took me to visit the bread maker. So you can see a picture of me here mixing up the rye flour with the root, the fermented root, to make sourdough, mixing together. And this is the outcome. This is the mix at the end. It's quite a lot of dough to make quite a lot of bread. So I was lucky that the local bread maker showed me how he was making his bread. Okay, it's mixed up, these photos. This is again it's a bit too small, these ones, so I can't really. No, I can't do this. Let's see. So when Linda came with her fabric of linen, oops, it's too big now. She also wanted to explore about how do you work with the fabric beyond the typical. Like you can dye the linen in a normal way, but you can also ferment it, and you can start to change the texture quality of the fabric. So like she started to experiment a little bit with this. So what you can see in the jars is actually fermenting organic materials. Let's see here, with the linen inside, stewing a little bit. It's not very good resolution, but you can see inside of here is the linen fabric. I can't remember what is in this one, but this one is definitely turmeric. Slowly fermenting away. And this starts to change the texture and also how you might understand the fabric. It's no longer something that you wear. It might not be something that is strong. It's something that's starting to be changing and being embedded with bacterial liquids. And maybe it's something else than just normal fabric. Yeah, of course. But if you keep it in jars, it's something else. So she was experimenting with new understandings of the fabric. A sort of neo-linen, maybe. She was experimenting with new techniques. And that was just a small study project for her. Okay. That is all the pictures from there. Oh, did I do something wrong here? I think I did. I'm in the wrong side. And I don't have the help of our dear helper. Let's see. It's okay. I can see from here. There is a few more photos I want to show you from Aizpute before I go on. One I mentioned already, hemp, right? I got to meet and get to know the two persons, or actually one guy and his wife, Arthurs and Aneta Lapka. Their parents were farmers, or his parents were farmers, and he persuaded them that he could grow hemp, industrial hemp without THC, in their field. And he invited me to join the harvest. So I show you the harvest and they were harvesting for seeds at this time. So I show you how it looks at this late summer. This was in September. So what you can see here is the fibre, which had already been lying on the ground for a while. Traditionally, they are leaving the cut plants on the ground so the weather starts to break it down and make it weaker, because it takes a long time to break down. You can see he hired a combine harvester to come and cut it and collect the seeds. And so we are just here marveling at this plant in their late life. And waiting to tell you, just waiting. And you can see this is the product that comes from this. That day when we were there, he cut maybe like 4 hectares of plant materials, and the seeds need to be cleaned, they need to be dehusked and dried. But once they are dried like this, then they are used for or to be crushed, or to crush to make the oil or the butter, or kept as seeds and used as additional materials as cereal. So you can. Sorry. Of the seeds? Yeah, the seeds need to be cleaned because they still have little husks and things and bits. No, I'm not sure if they need to be broken, but there's a lot of. Let's say if I go back, you cannot see too well from this picture, but there's a lot of bits of plant material, not just seeds here. So it has to be filtered. There's some machine they put it through to get rid of all the bits that are not seeds. It's quite amazing to be back into this agricultural space. And then we had to move it. Oh, this is me, my feet with hemp butter on them because I was standing in the seat. And there was some problem putting it into the storage. That's why we had to do it by hand. Anyway, so that's a little side story about in Aizpute about the hemp. And later on, this friendship with Arthurs and Netta carried on because the next project I tell you about, the bacterial love letters, involved making paper from hemp fiber. Yeah. So I go back to the other side, and let's see, go here. Do you have any questions? Where is this?
Yeah.
This is not my picture.
Okay.
This is not my computer. Okay. Now, so I tell you another story in a different city. This one is in Vilnius, in Lithuania. And actually, if I could get the browser back up, was it? Do you remember what browser it was?
This one?
Where am I? I'm a bit lost. Here it is. And it's this one.
Yeah.
So, in Lithuania, let's see if I can get this to go again. I have to do this. Can you fix that for me? So there's when you put the H, you're pressing the H.
Just click this H.
I just click it. Sorry. And it's much faster to do that. So in Lithuania, there's a interdisciplinary artist association. Now, CERDE is an interdisciplinary artist group and residency center, and they're just a small team of people. But in Lithuania, there's an association for interdisciplinary artists, and actually it has about 80 artists or more on its list. So it has a lot of people associated with it, and they have a couple of projects. They do projects like media, communications, things like this. They promote interdisciplinarity in Lithuania, in the Lithuanian language. They invite international artists to come to Lithuania to do projects because they like or appreciate their interdisciplinary ways. They have a project space so they can host exhibitions and things like that. And that summer, last year, they had a DIY series. So they had workshops where they invited someone to make a workshop in one afternoon, which you could go home and do at home also. So it was an artist who does interdisciplinary work, maybe art science, but a half a day, 1 day workshop, which you can then go and do yourself if you want. So a particular format. And I was lucky that they invited me to make a workshop for them. And when I was invited, I thought, what would I like to do? And I didn't want to do it myself. And I had just been at Pixelic Festival and met my friend Wojtek. And we have worked together in the past on many things. And he wanted to make paper from fibers, from plants, from wild plants, ideally. And I wanted to work with bacteria as a subject and as a medium. And we decided to combine our ideas together to make this bacterial love letters. We had never done it before, but we managed to persuade the association that we wanted to do this workshop. We didn't know that we hadn't done it before together, but anyway. We had done each part separately together already. So this is their website. You can see more about them in English and Lithuanian. The project that we did in the end, the bacterial love letters, I have written a report. So one of the links I have shared goes to this, and it's a report of what we did. So if you want to read later, you can read. You have all these links, so don't worry about it. One thing I should mention while I have the browser open here is that the Interdisciplinary Artists Association is also closely connected to NIDA Art Colony. Actually, the chairman and the director is the same person of these both organizations. And NIDA Art Colony is quite a special place. It's on a natural heritage area on the coastline of Lithuania, on a sand dune isthmus. So on one side there is the sea, and on the other side there's a lagoon. So it's a narrow land made of sand. And of course there are trees and things on it. And this has traditionally been an art colony in the 19th century. And so the NIDA Art Colony is using buildings inherited from Vilnius Art Academy. It's actually a project of the Art Academy. And it hosts a lot of artists and projects and student projects, and now doctoral work, doctoral research. They have exhibition space nowadays. They have a maker space, which is newly opened. They have a sound audio recording studio, as well as ability to host when it's full, maybe 40 people, somewhere, maybe 60. So if you don't know about NIDA Art Colony, they have open call also for residencies. Often you have to pay for them, unless it's a project. But they are in the interdisciplinary spirit, in a rural location, actually by the sea, in the forest. So I go back now to my pictures and tell you about the Bacterial Love Letters workshop. It was as the format necessitated, a half-day workshop. Let's see, where I am here. And it took place in a building in a suburb of Vilnius, an old wooden house like you can see here. And now this building is finished. It ended at the end of last year, and they have a new space which just opened 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, I can't remember. So you see a bit of the advertising, DIY, bacterial love letters, plant making and bacterial printing workshop. So what the hell is that? That was for us to find out, because we wanted to experiment. We wanted to experiment making paper from hemp fiber, because we had this facility available thanks to Arthur and Aneta and their harvest. I had the Aronia ink, which we could print with, but I also brought some other things. And we had a lot of experimenting to do. So the process involved chopping up and cutting all the fiber, boiling it as well with some soda, bicarbonate of soda, if I remember right. So we tried to break down again the fiber to make it softer. We blended it with a blender, food blender. This was a sort of kitchen setup, hot plate, blender, pots. And the idea was to try to process the plant material. The weaving going on in the background. Here's some processing and working with this is the bicarbonate of soda here. We had about 20 people signed up for the workshop. So it meant that we needed, the space is not very big, So we needed to have different teams. So some people worked on the fibers, some people worked on making the paper sheets, some people worked on making print materials, and this was the ink table. So you can see some pictures of this workshop process and the situation. So the printing was very low-tech. It was potato prints. It's the lowest printing technique you can get. Perfect for children. Good for all people of all ages. There was also a lot of weaving. So Ineta and a few others, Anse, they were making bracelets for everybody as the workshop was going on. So over 6 hours, everybody got a bracelet of hemp fiber during the whole time, which was a nice way to bond. Here's some pictures of making the paper sheets, and this is even some outcome. Oh, that's a bad photo. Sorry. Here's a better one. Making prints designs from the potatoes, and here's some pictures of making the sheets of paper. You can see that you pull it out of the water, and you try to keep it flat. We were using some mesh. There was an option for the workshop participants to choose, do they want to put the bacterial ink on top, or do they want to infuse it in the water? And what you can see here is this aronia ferment juice mixed up with the water, which has the plant fiber in it. So that you can see it's a bit bubbly. And a bit purple too. But it was such a fun workshop because people were happy doing their own different things at different times. Yeah. And this is the sort of ink consistency. So we had to test what was the right consistency for doing potato print. It hadn't to be too liquid, it could not be too stiff. And what you see here is the first bacterial love letter, quite appropriately with a little potato print heart shape. And there's the author of this work, the youngest one. And here you see people making their sheets of paper, quite late in the process actually, because it's all brown and purple. It had to be dried off, the sheets of paper, with this little cloths. So once you had put your paper sheets, you had put the cloth on top, you flipped it over, and then you used different cloths to suck up the moisture and flatten it. And is that a hair dryer? Yeah, it's a hair dryer, so there was also some extra drying process. And here's another example of multi-print. And here's some example of the fantastic designs that we managed to get. Some spirals, some infinity signs, some Lithuanian power symbols, a bit like the one that I showed you earlier from Latvia. Some stars, and at the same time we were trying to put the documentation online quite quickly so that people who were not involved could see what's happening. A bit of weaving going on. Oh, this was the. Remember how I showed you a picture earlier of the sauerkraut, the cabbage? This is the cabbage with turmeric. So some people even put this in and blended it up and mixed it into their paper. Okay. Here we go. That was a good example with cats and hearts and spirals and infinities. And then there was the good typographer approach. So one person who came with us from Serde decided to make a rather locative version of things, to put Aizpute, the name of the town, onto paper. This was the Lithuanian power symbols again. And some more processes. You can see it's starting to become familiar already. Now this one really broke the mold. This was the thing we didn't expect to happen, because our event actually took place on Halloween, right, the 31st of October, and so one person decided to make a mask. out of the paper because it just seemed right. And this is my poor effort. It was meant to be a hashtag, turned out to be something else. I don't know what it was at the end. So potato prints is not the easiest thing to do, I have to tell you. Looks simple, but not. To get the right ink consistency and everything was not easy. So you've seen this picture before, people who tuned in at the beginning. And it was Halloween, so we did some Halloween things. We went to the graveyard, etc. Okay, are you doing all right? Do you want to have a little break? I have some more, of course, I can show. I have two more things. One from Latvia again, the making of things from soil, and then I have the things from Taipei. Do you want a little break, or are you doing okay? A little break? 5-minute break? Okay, let's do that. 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Okay, internet, see you soon. I leave you with this cross.
Yeah, nice. And I think you'll bring some books, right?
Eh?
I think you'll bring some books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to do some exercise,
Yeah.
you can make something, or you can look at these books.
Yeah.
These books came from Tokyo.
Yeah.
They're called 5, Designing Media Ecology, and it's a editing project of Shin Mizukoshi. It's meant to be a magazine, so it takes work that's coming from academia and from activism outside of academia and puts it together. Tells some stories from different places and invites author at the beginning there is 5 different cases. One from USA or North America, one from Oceania, one from Europe, one from Asia, and one from Japan. So it has the short stories from each place. And there's been 4 made already. They are short articles. They are a little bit thematic, a little bit playful, some of them. The idea is that you can get the PDF online. I think there is a small fee for the PDF to cover the costs. It's a non-profit project from Tokyo University, from the interfaculty unit, so interdisciplinary interfaculty.
I'll post this on.
Sorry?
I'll post this one.
I have a list. You feel like me? Do you want me? Oh, it's oh yeah, this is yeah, this is what to do. Yeah, that's what I can do. You'll do what? Take some more weekends. Yeah. So, you know, cosmetics nowadays, they come with new materials. This is volcanic sand. Oh, really? Nowadays, you know, all cosmetics, they have something special in it. This one is volcanic sand. This special I can demonstrate if you want. No, there is a, but you know, because we're in Asia, we could add also something else to it, like fibre. Yeah, I think so. A little sticks, that would be interesting. So you get, yeah. But I think I got to use a bit of green oil. You know this, don't you, of course?
It's already cold.
Eh?
I mean, now it's cold.
Yeah, I know. The volcanic ones for warm, and this one is for cold.
Yeah.
So just a little drop, just to give it some use, because I don't think it's standard. So, now it's for something else. Oh, it sounds great. No. Sounds good, right? So this is lovely, both white Baltic sand. I don't know what's this good for? For mosquitoes? Good for birds? Good for many things, I heard. People think it's good for many things.
If you get five baht, some baht, and you can use this oil to neutralize the.
Alright, so that's how you do it. It's not complicated at all. But
If you want this, then you it will make your skin more smooth or something.
I don't know. Yeah, you can make your own. You can make your own. Let me make mine. I will take this home.
function.
You can invent the functions.
不用回忆，因为你是他是学手还是什么？
我可能有一点就不会担心，就是不同的化学东西在反应是知道。
对，所以就其实比较有他最终让我放就是那个去看那个导演，对，他其实是能够然后但是有
我可能这些是属于那种他没写在上面的，就是他上面写的是知道，但是我只是那个我发觉是他们拿
You have baking.
no one is making any. This is your chance, but you can do later if you want.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to move on, we can move on.
Okay.
So we go back.
Yes. Quiva.
Do we take the lights back off?
Yeah.
Can you go to Rix then? No, I can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I open up all the tabs again so they don't be closed.
Just click on that thing. It's not on that. Click the word.
I know, but it's not working.
One thing.
Okay. So, is there still some people out there on the internet? Because we're about to start again. Or anyone who's watching this video later, just let know we had a pause for a little bit, just so people can move and get the energy in their body some other way. I made some skin product made of white Baltic sand and lubricant gel and some green oil from Taiwan. In the meantime, so should I start or should we still wait a little bit? Eh? We can start. So another cultural organization in Riga who I've had the pleasure to know for a while is called RIX, Center for New Media Culture, or actually Art, Science and Cultural Innovation Space. And they have been active since 1996, the members, under another name called Riga eLab, and then since 2000 as RIX. And RIX has been involved a lot in network making, and then also as an artist collective, and they have made an annual festival, and they also have been publishing annuals, or for their festival they were publishing Brigley Festival, a book called Acoustic Space, and now it's a peer-reviewed journal, Art and Science, or a transdisciplinary journal. So they have many different activities, as you can see from the website if you're looking at it, and they are very active in the Latvian scene and also in Northeast Europe, and because of their ability to get EU supporting projects also in Europe. And one project they have at the moment, which is interesting for those in the art science perspective, and bioarts also, is the Changing Weathers project, which is what this website is. And it's a European funded project, which includes partners from different locations. Norway, if I understand, Slovenia, Finland, Latvia, Netherlands. And they have a sort of blog or record of their activities here online, so you can have a look. And they have one project, or one of the projects they have involved is one called Soil Future. And this was paired together with, the Soil Future is the International Science Art Symposium, as they called it, focused around soil. And they asked me to make some workshop related to this with a Latvian graduate of the MP lab, which is the art research lab at Liepāja University. And Rix and other friends in Latvia, but also in North Europe, have been developing a media arts education program from bachelor level to master level and now doctoral level. So they are basically creating a whole learning environment through these three different sort of stages for media arts in Latvia. And it means that people can start their studies age 19 in media arts in Latvia, which you can't even do this in Finland. design as you know, but some of you know, but like actually media art is not possible to do this all levels, so it's quite special. And Rix's content interests, especially nowadays in art science, takes quite a strong influence. And the I Week is their annual international study week of this art research lab, MP lab in Latvia. And it's where the international teachers come, international students come, and for 1 week there's lots of workshops going on. And at the end of the week the work's presented to the public from the workshops. And I was asked if I would like to take part. I said, yeah, I could do a workshop on cultural heritage. And then the proposal of working with soil came up. And so this soil feature, let me put this back here. This soil feature was really like how am I to make a workshop for students of media arts and network culture. How am I to make a workshop about soil? And the person I shared this workshop with, Maya Demetere, who's a graduate, you can see her in the picture here on this webpage. She graduated from doing a lot of urban gardening and growing projects with hydroponics and other experimental and sustainability-oriented growing or biodynamic, etc. Right? So she was a specialist in this, and we paired together to make the workshop design, and we came up with the idea of doing a workshop based on the soil's present, the soil's past, and the soil future. And we structured the workshop in those ways that we spent a couple of days looking at soil in the present, the making of soil, and making of compost, and then looking a bit about how do you know about soil in the past, and then what the future interpretations might exist. Now our workshop design fell apart a little bit because we didn't get many participants. Most of the students wanted to do media and tech projects, not soil projects, funnily enough, which is understandable. We had a small core group and we tried to pull people in to our processes as we went along, which we managed to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you some photographs of the process. The soil presence involved making compost, going to collect compost material from the neighborhoods in the town, both like dry and wet materials, because compost needs both. It needs nitrogens from green things, so plant material is still green, and it needs dry things that are now with more carbon. So the sort of the combination of these things makes sort of energy and breaks down the plant materials and makes good compost or soil eventually. So we had really the original idea was to have a couple of days of making compost and collecting soil samples. The third day was involved with the past, where we went to visit a market garden producer, so someone who grows vegetables, especially salads, for the supermarkets, to ask her, what do you know about your soil in the past? How much do you know? How often do you record also? And then we had a couple of days of speculative work, like what might be the future uses of soil or changes in soil. I'll show you some photos. How's the time do? I have about 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Whatever. And now it's a little bit difficult for me to see the folders.
Yeah, I can take one.
Thank you. Is this one? Now I don't really have much or any photographs personally of or going out to collect soil, digging some soil up from some spots in the sort of urban town space. I do have this one picture of plant materials we started to gather for compost. Now, Liepāja is the third biggest town in Latvia. It's on the sea, so it has a beach. It's very popular in the summer. It's about 75,000 people, so it's not so big. Its most remarkable monument at the moment, or building, is this one, which is a brand new concert hall called the Amber Hall in English. And amber is an important product in this whole coastline. Sorry? Yeah, that's right. It's been fossilized under pressure under the ground or under the sea. So they've even built a big concert hall to look like a big bit of amber. Oh, this is just hotel room stuff. Some alcohol that was given because of a lecture I made. Anyway, we start to get into the student work. So there was students from, in this 1 week, from Netherlands, from England, from Latvia, and there were teachers from Netherlands, England, Hungary, and Latvia, including myself and Maya, and a few others. And so the students paired off or grouped off into different activities, and so many were doing parallel things. We decided to go and collect soil and plant material, but also to go and visit this space. Now, this is a farm which is growing salads for supermarkets, as I mentioned, and it was at the end of their growing season, so they had harvested everything already. This was, for example, the leftover tomatoes that were still to be distributed or still to ripen. It was already harvest of pumpkins, so it's actually the start of November, this workshop. We did it, so. Oh, there's a picture of me in a sand dune. Nope, nothing special here. Okay, so I don't have too much from that. Didn't have a very good selection of that one. So what we did is we interviewed informally the person who ran the farm. We asked her, how often do you record the soil quality? As it's in Latvia, during the Soviet period, during communist times, the way the land was used was totally different than, of course, what happened on independence, because the whole system collapsed. But people who maybe had a claim to the land previous to Soviet times could get access, or people who worked and still had a sort of close relationship to the collective farms, as there was some places collective farms, could maybe get access to owning the new factory as it was independent. And so this lady, she actually did not know what was grown in her land 20 years before, because there was no record. The Soviet end and the start of independence period broke this. So all she knew was what she had heard about was grown there, but she had no idea actually. So she had to start from the beginning and just start recording the quality of the soil and the fields which she was growing from the beginning. So that was interesting to learn this. Maya was in particular wanting to ask her about, so why don't you use biodynamic growing methods? Why are you not using compost more in making your soil more fertile? Sort of. So there was interesting conversation. But she was also a family friend of Maya's, so it was not totally neutral. There was still some friendliness. And so what happened was that after we had done this interviewing, Maya and a few others decided they wanted to make an aquaponic system, so a hydro water-based growing system using fish, aquaponics. And so they went off and did this. And I thought, well, I want to do something about heritage, because that's what I've been working on for a while. I want to look at how people used to make, or how to mix together materials, which includes soil with food. And I realized through a little bit of research that week that there was a whole tradition of people eating soil for various reasons, internationally around the world. And it's only in contemporary times, in modern times, that we don't do this. Now is a time when we don't do it. But for most of human history, people have even ingested soil and clay and other sort of mineral from the ground. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's and also it seems wrong, and there's also psychological interpretations of with a so-called disorder called pica, where if you eat things which are not nutritional, then there's something wrong with it. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can talk about that.
I can do. I mean, that would take me a little bit off topic, but I can do. Pixelake has had for 2 years involvement with an association in Helsinki, connected to the University of Helsinki and the agricultural or agricultural science department, and they made the students of this department of the university wanted to create a space to talk about the issues coming up in their studies and their research in sort of agroeconomics and food issues and issues, of course, of biodiversity and things like this. So they created an association called the Future of Food, if you translate it in English, and they wanted to make more cultural events and activities which help the general public understand what they were learning as students, as researchers. And so I Pixelake, got involved with them to co-organize an event. And we made two together, and there has been a third one also already happening, where we bring together the art science perspective with the agroeconomics and agricultural sciences, in particular around food. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we have experience of doing this sort of food-focused events which bring art, design, science, and research together. It's called Foodico. So you can look online about this. Foodico.info, if I'm remembering right. Yeah. Yeah, and having bacteria in your belly which can digest it and give you protein. And, yeah, that would be great. Yeah. No. Yeah. Or you plug in second stomach, just like the cows have extra stomach.
Oh, plastic.
Yeah?
Plastic.
Plastic. You can eat plastic.
No, I mean, man, human can eat plastic, man can sell some plastic
They might do, yeah. Of course, there are worms which can eat plastic.
yeah, the big, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, there are worms which can eat certain plastics. That's seen as a solution. Of course, mushrooms also are fungi.
And 2 years ago, I read a scientific news about scientists discovered a kind of bacteria, and the bacteria can oil and
Yeah.
so
Oh. Well. I wonder, do you feel like you want to start talking about things together, not just me tell about things? Yeah? Because I can very quickly show this and then we move to that. Because I think that it's good to move on. This one just brought together food and soil. The idea was to look at like how can you create desirable looking things, even though for many people it's questionable whether you want to eat this or not. And of course, if the soil was good quality soil, maybe you would think about it. But this was the process. It mixed together things that was in my fridge with things that we gathered from the ground. And okay, here's some pictures of the hydroponic or aquaponic system, which I presume you're familiar with this. What we were making, Linda Strauta and I, was mud cakes, right? We were making mud cakes, like children make mud cakes. But, and yeah, the combination of, in this case, Korean chili paste and sand and seaweed creates strange textures and strange things, that's for sure, and it feels strange to work together with these things, right? Sorry, I'm moving too fast for you, maybe.
No.
But like, you know, for me at least, I have worked in kitchens before, and I know how to present food, yeah? For me, the idea was to make mud cakes that you really want to eat, right? Because it's really challenging, you know? I know where the soil came from. I don't want to eat this soil, right? I didn't make it as compost. If I made it as compost and had a very clean understanding of where things came from, then maybe I would eat it because I could trust that it is healthy actually and probably contains good bacteria, not bad bacteria, not pathogenic bacteria. And what I wanted to make was something which made you go, ooh, that's interesting. This one was with aronia juice, actually. We still had some aronia juice already started in November. And this one was with sand and kimchi and seaweed is on top. This little green bit on top. Actually, this is the only one I tasted. Because I knew the sand was better than the soil. The aronia juice is bacteria, good bacteria. The kimchi is good bacteria. The seaweed is probably okay to eat. That's what it looked like. I tasted it. I didn't eat it all. No way would I eat it all. But I tasted it. Eating sand is not nice, but I wanted to cross a little bit this boundary, because I know in some parts of the world people still eat clay to get the minerals, especially pregnant women and children, and in sub-Saharan Africa, in Caribbean, and even if you go to Chicago, where there is cafes which are promoting soul food, the food of your ancestors, the food of the slaves. You can still also buy a little bit of clay to have on the side of your meal, right? I've heard about it. I read article about it. I've even been to a soul cafe, but I didn't buy the clay. I didn't know about it, and it's already 8 years ago. But when I researched this subject, I thought, hey, hang on a minute. I know this already a bit. The practice of eating soil is called geophagia, or geophagia. So, what do you think, eh? Looks tasty?
more.
Yeah! This one, what about this one? This one is special. This one has a bit of vitamin inside. It has even here some money. This is shredded Latvian lats.
Money?
Money. Paper. Slap it. It's shredded money from the Latvian lats before the euro. So Maya's father gave me some. Here, use this. Gave me some of this. This is this horse chestnut that you saw at the very beginning. Some carrots. Some vitamin D from the sun. And this one's good. This has got cod liver oil. There's omega-3 and 6. This one has cumin. This one's good. This has got chilies and chili powder and raspberry jam and seaweed and some still fresh plant picked from the wild. No, I didn't. No, it was all based on gut feeling, intuition. What looks good together? Of course, if there was no point doing it on nutrition based because no one was going to eat it. Because it's just what I had. Yeah. What was surprising about this process is the reaction that people had to this type of view. You know, it's such a mess, right? And the idea of having dirt on the same table as your food somehow feels wrong. It's interesting where this feeling comes from. You know, like it is society that conditioned us to think like this. When we are children, we play with this and don't think about it being wrong. Okay, so that's basically that. Maya made very fantastic, very quickly aquaponic system with 3 or 4 fish down here. You know how aquaponics works, I guess. So I don't have to explain this. For those who don't know, it is the fish shit is feeding nutrients into the water, which is feeding the plants. She and her colleagues, they also made very nice diagrams how to make compost and other sort of integrated systems with soil and composting, which could be applied to social or public space projects. There's a picture of this. Okay, this is more like exhibit. We wanted to. I wanted to keep the process and what was left over from process still public, not to clean up. So you have the finished result on the table, but you see also what made it. The same with the compost. You could see together how it was being made and what was happening. Where's the cursor? Here it is. We are almost at the end of this, and then we talk about something else. The diagrams at the back is like trying to combine the heating systems with the energy that's coming out of the composting process. Here's our example. That compost is naturally producing heat, and it could be used for something. That you can put together a bit like in permaculture, all these different elements. Okay, this is practical knowledge. And exhibit. And that's me leaving town. I think I'm going to stop there with this part because at the moment there's only a few of us here, and it's also nice to talk together. There's still this question which would be nice to share together, because you have seen it already in many of my photographs. The idea of experimenting with food, experimenting with other materials, and putting together or hacking them together sometimes, unexpectedly, or make bricolage together. And I'm really curious how you keep this work going. What type of things do you need to make it happen? And this maybe helps us lead into, if you like, the subject of what is a kitchen lab. As I have gathered a little bit on this table, kitchen lab. And here, it's not really food things, but it's really bathroom lab, cosmetics, right? It's not the bedroom lab either, but like it's where do these things overlap with your everyday life? And the topic of food in particular, of course, is something which mixes together with everyday life. And kitchen is a workspace. It's a social space also. So if you like to do things with other people, kitchen is quite a good place to do it also, right? Depends on your family, of course, whether you get space in the kitchen or not. Yeah. Right? Or in your flatmates, if you get space in the kitchen. Do things together, but it's an interesting, challenging space. What to do and how to do it.
Now, brings me the idea of recently
Well, in Finnish apartments, there is often a communal space, like in the basement, mostly. One room which everybody in the apartment can use. So it can be used for small projects or for parties or things like that. The problem is it's often not used very much. Because people are not, even though they have this resource, they don't have the great need for it. So it's just sitting there. Right? I remember in my apartment in Helsinki, it had a backyard common space. So the sauna and the washing room, and then a project room, as well as the bike shed, where you keep the outdoor stuff. And that was really nice. It was really special to have this. The problem was not many people used it. Right? So only when you have a great need, like you have nothing or you don't have any space, then you start to think about, I wish I had this basement to do some project in. Or I wish that my neighbors want to share cooking with me. Because actually, if in your apartment you know 2 or 3 other neighbors within the 1 or 2 levels, then you already have everything you need. You just have to agree to do something together. Yeah. But what is food is the basic interest that all of us share. Okay, maybe the recipes we don't share.
Everybody like the same kind.
Yeah.
Let me speak my experience one time.
Please.
One time a trip to travel to India plan. Oh, actually, since how here, I think in Roma, you should eat some kind of people eat. So I ordered some dish like Indian tradition. The food looked like something like oh, no, like this one. And the color looks like yellow. Exactly same color as the restaurant. Like that. I watched about 30 seconds and I closed to it. Sorry, I changed my mind. Give me something whiskey. I don't care if I cannot. Overpass my mind barrier. So if you want us, everybody eating like a soya, okay, I think that snail is important, color is important, shape is important, and to do something. If you don't do something like shuffle something, put on the table, I think everybody will go away. Most people will go away. But if you do some of the process, make it hygiene, at least hygiene has to solve the problem. Otherwise, most people will understand how they eat. Most of the world, many bacteria. Stay in the house, inside the house, find a little bit. But you want to stay outside, you need to get the soil, find it in the soil. That's a good word. Okay, that's from this thing that brought in the factory can be job. And every single bottle dry something, looks like a flower, looks like some powder.
Oh, the ink. Yeah.
Eatable.
Actually, some Australia is found already that they just use like one day, one habit. No food.
Do you know someone? Someone somewhere is doing this. Someone out there.
But you
I think
know,
none of us thought it
all the food, but when they eat a steak, okay, show you further the steak. How you lose everything? You just eat the fat. So, what's the life meaning? Life meaning really important one thing. You reach your food. Especially country. People you eat it when you wake up. How you change everything to the habit. Or you eat steak or soy. How you wake up.
Yeah. I mean, of course that's right. I mean, you have to make efforts, right? To make it look good, to be interesting, you know. Texture, of course, is really important. Smell is important. All these things. If you reduce all the sensory aspect of eating, it is as good as eating this cod liver oil, right? Because cod liver oil is good for you, but it's so removed, you don't want to taste it. That's why it's in a little jelly package. Right? It doesn't taste so good, so that's why it's the most unnatural way of eating. You just sit it down, I don't want to taste it. Right? And that of course, the only reason you do it is psychologically. You think this is
Actually, American right now, they just use the very special filter. Our technology. So put this kind of life into the urine. Just drink somebody's urine. It's out the filter. They can send it to you. No problem. Good filter, maybe. I don't know.